How are you doing? How are you? Welcome. Thank you very much for having me. I am going to kick off with, there's so many different ones I want to share with you, which kind of track a little bit of my history of creating words and putting it on the page, and then finally saying, right, I'm definitely a writer and I'm a poet as well. So I'm going to kick off with this one because it was in an anthology called When We Speak. And this was the first anthology in about 20 years in Nottingham, by people of African and Caribbean heritage. So it was the first time in a long time that we did this. And this was, last year. Panya Banjoko did this one. It's called Chilling in My Base. Written from the perspective of a young boy. I'm in my son's room, so that's probably the inspiration why I want to choose this one right now. I come from an imaginary land where everyone with potbellies eats chicken fried inside its skin with a coating of cherry boot polish. Smooth. Inside my skin, I know that space, feel that space, that vacuum-filled, echoey sound of my father pointing at me and my mother crying blood for me. Sweet blood of the Lord is rhyming in my ears, and he spits, "What's wrong with you?" Like I'm supposed to know the answer, but I never put my hands up and clasp, because we all know that scientists have proven that we must only be good at sport. But Sheku inspires me to draw across the strings chilling in my base. And whilst Gaza colours and Tumeti reminds me of Black Matters, I love that KSI could love vibranium supercars and probably has more followers than the current street preacher, than the dumbfounded school teacher, and my friend, not my bestie, steals from me my money, my Vimto, my fame. I should exist nowhere, but I am known in all of my imaginary land as the kind, king-like warrior with a long way to go. I come in peace, bearing the mangoes and eye watches. No gun exists because here they are so primitive. Yet every day is a war on the children, squeezing them into false feathers, wearing bombs in their backpacks, posing with the pride of Stephen Biko, shuffling like beached turtles, playing the knockdown ginger on your road, and all of the spices I season you with, a warning to never think of me as your marionette, your action figure to be manipulated, your darling to be stroked. I am a real brown man, and one day I will become a boy again, living the African dream in an imaginary lane. Thank you. Really weird having my eldest son is the Corona Kids GCSE year, so he's it's really interesting because I've got 3 teenagers. One's nearly a teenager, 12, and it's really interesting watching how he's responding to this current situation and just trying to motivate him and the rest of his brothers, but definitely him, to say that, you know, there is a future, there is something out there for you, and just to make him feel grounded in himself. And that's what I try and do with my poetry, trying to ground my words in stories and in narratives. And yeah, a lot of inspiration comes from my children, I think, and you will feel that and see that as well. This next one is called No Hard Feelings, and it's looks at how, in terms of parenting from the male perspective, looking at how when my kids were younger as well, and looking at how my partner parents, I was really excited to write this one. I hope that you can see that as well. And I think it's also about looking at how men handle their feelings and their mental health and as well. No hard feelings. He placed them in little pockets, sewn by large hands to delicately bind leaf-laced pages, inscribed spider crawls, chasing needles to furrow his forehead. In little pockets he placed them, lined up against a wall of silence, each flap closed with a pop button, except the last one, which squealed for attention. He placed little pockets in them, his knife marking evenly, sweetly into the dough. Air simmering gave way to space, gave way to sky. The equator limiting his freed temper. Thank you. I don't know if you would, I don't know, in terms of just an imagining 3 boys lined up in silence against the wall, being told off, and their response. And so, and how we take our feelings and we put them inside. Sometimes we don't want to let them out as well. So for me, it was really, a really interesting way to examine these pockets of anger and fury and emotion and love as well in there. Okay, so, this one, I'm going to do this one now because I was speaking to my friend in Barbados on WhatsApp, and she was telling me that, her dad died basically yesterday. He's in London, I'm in Derby, and he, passed away due to coronavirus and not being treated as in his 70s. And a few years ago, 3 years ago, her mum passed away, and she's in Barbados and she had to come back and deal with it. But this time she cannot come back to deal with, her dad. So I'm going to do this one. This one is called Tribute, and I first, performed this for Mouthy Poets, which is based in Nottingham as well. So let me read this one for you. Let me see if I can find it on the screen, because this one was printed in soy ink. It was printed in soy ink in this zine, and therefore the writing is not so hot. Let me see if I can get a version here that is got. So I can print that down. You can see Tribute. She lived for that green, that shade that bled the sun through, tall stems full of the stuff of life, laying foundations in the moss, cultivating a kind of eco-festival full of cool, hip for you stuff. Eat. In fact, sorry to cut myself, I would have got you to interact with this one. I'm wondering how I can do this. Right. Every time I say beat, if you could all, go like this. Beat. Okay. She lived for that green, that shade that bled the sun through, tall stems full of the stuff of life, laying foundations in the moss, cultivating a kind of eco-festival full of cool, hip-for-you stuff. Beat. She hailed from Masaka in rural Uganda. She whispered evergreen national parks, war celebrations piled atop afro coils, a silent disco danced, cocoa eyes, and like a sister, yet more like a daughter, she wrapped me in tribute, pursing lips to my dimples. Once, I thought I had jailed my chance to mother after severing myself from a house full of too many women, growing big for their boobs. I kicked the dirt and left my idea of family to flap in the crosswinds in a pea green boat. Beat. She was the roadside green that directed me back to motherhood, back when the truth was wedged between puberty and middle classmen, a detour made through males too old to be boys. I would hide behind my dreams, a padlocked Brady Bunch, whilst sharing a little philosophy. Beat. Her voice was the architect, plucking my dimples to loosen my shadows. The chef pressing jerk, pimento, Scotch bonnet, garlic cloves into my middle, seasoning me for motherhood. Beat. She loved the little bits of apple green mixed with olive, the kind that took the edge off a hard day, of walking wards in worn clogs, her uniform a starched, that type that made you stand to attention, or hide your boyfriend's attitude until he wanted to do the right thing, all by himself. And she would call me Beat. And she would call me Beat. Now whispers to me, Beat. And I, mother, a handful now, using those tints of her cool, hip for you stuff of life. Thank you. Okay, so No Hard Feelings is from my book, and it's full of different kinds of illustrations. So you might be able to see, it's gonna be, you can colour them in and different things as well. And just dive into words and it's got spaces for you to create your own doodles. So I want to read another one from there. And this one is called Beach Boy. Now, I'd love for you to participate again. So when I say scroll up, scroll up. Beach Boy. And this poem is in memory of Alan Kurdi, the boy who was found on the beach. Striped top. Schoolboy. Or was he? Scroll up. Pink high-heeled shoes, smiley, pout at digital camera, instant graphics of dimples embedded in thigh blubber, leaning forward for England, arse way behind in Nigeria, scrolling endearments like a pet lover. Scroll up. Pause. But loving is a laptop dropped on its side. The motherboard waiting to be wiped of pixelated memories, too old for makeup, nevertheless experienced at cropping her top into a Marvel game avatar. Scroll up. She-Hulk, red, wrestles with Ferrari Theft Auto, strong enough to transport your sins to a god who carries dead children like toys and tosses them onto a top 10 Turkish beach, abandoned, yet everybody longs to hold him in their cold embrace. Pause. And I wished I owned a toy like that when I was younger. Dressed simply in a t-shirt, rouge, a pale Syrian ragdoll with dark hair, navy velcroed shorts and limp arms outstretched. Scroll up. Zoom in. And those shoes. Ready. Sturdy. Back to school black. I've bought similar on eBay. I've shared my rejects on FreeCycle, and I want to breathe life into you. Pause. Want to scroll. Want to stop. Want to force your spirit into one of those boxes that hold reasons to be cheerful. reasons to be cheerful. Those grids ticked to make my discomfort at Olin at your prone being a thing to stand up for, a gift toy to die for. I ignore the like button and scroll on. Thank you. So, that's like my 5 per hour alarm that my son has in his room, which might be quite apt. I want to share a poem that I wrote about. No, let me do blue bloods. I want to do blue blacks and blue bloods. I wrote this, it's on Facebook. I wrote this, I was inspired again by the children, and I want to be able to honour my nieces and my children in a way that they will feel or understand how proud they were. We did a photo shoot at Christmas, so all of the family got together. It was a feat. There was like 7 grandchildren and 13 adults, and we came together. And I wrote this based on a family portrait. It's called Blue Blacks. There's a couple of words in here. There's a couple of phrases in here. The first Nigerian phrase in Igbo, which is my mother's village. It means princes. So Ezigbo Onyesi means princes. And then I've got Adayeze Mara Mma, that means princesses. They felt royally at home again as they chased and chased Ezigbo Onyesi until their cheeks were blue. Adayeze Mara Mma gathered their blustering lungs, pleating sporadically from the efforts until toes scraped from polyester socks and kitten heels tip-toppled. Upon hearing a click from the door, they froze. Just for a moment, holding their energy tight, heads cocked, focused, pushing energy into a robust vessel and jamming a cork into the narrow. A grin wobbles, a chin escalates up into the mischief zone. The vessel shatters and the blue escapes. Yes, they were royally at home again. Thank you. So, I've got to, Rafe, how much time have I got? 2 minutes or 5? Okay, cool. So I'm going to do 2. So I've got this one here. Let me just see, bring it off. And so I would like to share this one. It's from another anthology that I was part of, and I went to visit Cancun, and I was inspired by the colours and the culture and the dragons and the Mayans and the Aztecs. So this is called Forking Flames. In the heart of the Yucatan is where she remembers his potency, where the moon strikes the sun. Oh, it's just disappeared. I'm going to start that one again. Move that one out of the way. Excuse me. I have a slight technical hitch here. My technical hitches.
This is very minor compared to what I expected. Do not worry. Not from you, from me.
That's cool. I'm gonna revert to. Let me revert to. Okay then. That one's just disappeared on me for some reason. So I'm gonna go and revert to my poem called Daughter. And this poem, it's a short one, and it's for our girls in Chibok. And I'm also going to say that in terms of, for me today, it's about the key workers, it's about the NHS, it's about, it's for them as well. This one is for them as well. And it's also been inspired by a song by Prince Nico Imbaga, Sweet Mother. And if you ever listen to that song, it's like a 9-minute song, 9-minute high life, African Nigerian high life tune, goes on forever. But in there are other words that people put into their songs or sample a lot these days. But when I was growing up, it was a song you always played at parties, at Nigerian parties, with your super malt and your chin chin biscuits, and at gatherings people would always sing this song as a tribute to their mums. So I want to do this one. It's called Daughter. I am the eldest daughter of the eldest daughter. In fact, I am the eldest daughter of the eldest daughter of the eldest daughter of a village in eastern Nigeria, from eastern Igbo land. I have given birth to many children who filled my hair with the beautiful orangeness of the dust and the grace of multiple miscarriages. I can account for each follicle on my scalp, for the thick skin that passes sweat, as I think of how I labored and suffered so that you would not suffer. But I miss you. And I will rip 234 follicles from my scalp until you return to us. Thank you. Thank you very much. I will leave that one there because I don't know where the other poem has disappeared to, but I don't know if I might find it and do it at the end of the time, in the next half. Thank you so much.
One more big wave for Bea, guys.